Hey friendo, Steve here. Welcome back to WrestleJuice. So the second episode of Raw on Netflix dropped, and with it we got the debut of Penta in WWE. Really crazy to see that. The full podcast length review is going down tomorrow over at the Going in Raw podcast. Let's go ahead and see what you guys had to say about it. Cold takes, hot takes, these are your takes. Let's dive into it. First up, Goat Brook 9065 says, at this point I want half the AEW roster to just go to WWE. Is that hating? Whoa, buddy. You're going to get me in trouble over here at WrestleJuice. I got no comment on that one. I will say this, though, and maybe this is probably where you're coming from. Nobody does production like WWE. Penta looked like a major deal. His lighting. A lot of you were talking shit about the music. I was cool with the music. I don't know, I thought it was fine. Maybe I do kind of wonder if my standards are just really, really in the dirt at this point, given how much we've suffered under the Def Rebel era. So maybe that's the case. But while he was coming out, I was like, all right, this isn't awful. This isn't horribly cringy secondhand embarrassment. Like, I could get used to this. It was up tempo. So, I was fine with it. I didn't expect, man, they got so much goddamn money. Gosh darn money. Sorry. Somebody in the comments once said that I should stop saying goddamn. And I really am trying. It just happens. It just comes out of my mouth sometimes. So I'll try to say gosh damn from now on. TKO has so much gosh damn money. You'd think that they'd be able to license a song for everybody on the roster. But no, they just have their in-house people doing their shit. Which I get it. I understand. It makes all the sense in the world, especially these days with everything streaming, costs more money to license stuff. I understand that. But that being said, I thought his music was fine. He looks amazing. Like, they make him just look bigger than life. They make him look more like a star. And WWE just does that. So yeah, I kind of think it'd be interesting to see a lot of people who, and I'm not even just going to point at AEW, a lot of people who aren't in WWE, I'd like to see their entrances in WWE, given the old WWE production shine, because you could criticize them as much as you want. WWE knows production. They know it damn well. That scumbag Lee Fitting knows what he's doing over there. AJ Otani says, only 2.5 hours? They could do that? Right. It was 7:30. I was like 7:34. I was like, I wonder what the main event is. And then I saw scumbag Lee Fitting's name on there. And I was like, oh, wow. That's cool. I'm good. I'm good for the night. Now, I thought it was awesome. Somebody else in the comments mentioned that WWE maybe doesn't want to compete with the fourth quarter of a Monday Night Football game. And I get it. On the other hand, I also really like the idea of we've got our matches. We've got our show. Let's do our show. And somewhere between 2.5 hours and 3 hours is going to be our sweet spot. If we need more time, we take up more time if we need that extra time. If it's like a special episode of Netflix or something, or a special episode of Raw or something like that. But no, I loved it. 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 34 minutes. Perfect. Great. Awesome. Let's do it more often. Giannon Wallace here says, keep Penta away from the LWO, both feuding and in faction. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that number one, Penta is such a naturally hilarious personality. Number one, I loved everything about his debut. His match, I thought, with Gable was phenomenal. I thought it was awesome. It was a very traditional pro wrestling match. Gable was attacking a leg, and Pentagon had to overcome that. Very, very normal pro wrestling shit. But it had that Pentagon personality to it. And then the promo afterwards, where half of it was in Espanol, I thought that was awesome. His family was there. I know that because he said mi familia. And then it cut to some people in the front row. I'm like, oh, it must be Penta's family. That's really cool. Minus Rey Fenix, of course, because he can't be there yet. But I thought that promo was awesome. The fact that, hey, we've got as much time as we want to mess with now, so he can cut a really long promo because he's excited to be there because of the Penta era. And he looked dead into the camera, said, come here closer. Aquí, por favor. And he looked dead in the camera, big old close up. and he said, this is the era of Penta. That's awesome. I thought that was phenomenal. I thought it was great. I thought everything about it was fantastic. So yeah, I thought an absolutely perfect debut. But getting back to the idea of him feuding with the LWO, I think Pentagon he's too interesting a personality. Here's the thing about Rey Mysterio. I would be fine. I would actually be fine. I'd be fine with a Penta Rey WrestleMania match because we don't know how much longer Rey is going to be around. Seemingly, the guy is ageless. He is immortal or something. His stem cells, maybe just like half man, half stem cells. I don't know. But it is a dream match in WWE. The world's two best luchadors, they can say. Although I did appreciate Michael Cole saying, I was talking to Pentagon earlier, and he said that he was really looking forward to this aggressive style of WWE wrestling. I'm like, what are you talking about? You guys think pile drivers are like, something that could paralyze you. Anyways, I think that, you don't need to lump him in with the luchador. Honestly, to me, Penta is sort of like, he defies all that stuff. Yes, he is lucha through and through, but the guy is so much more. Like, he is so much more of a personality. He's humorous, he's serious, he's terrifying, he's all that stuff. He can be all that stuff. So put him in there with matches that make sense, with personalities that make sense. Definitely don't put him in the LWO. That'd be horrible if you put him in the LWO, and don't lump him in there with them. That being said, WrestleMania match, Pentagon versus Rey. I don't hate on it because Rey is still really, really good. He's still really awesome. But you don't want to put Penta with those guys. You don't want to do that. Number one, they are cold. They are super cold right now. So, yeah. Femtrapta says, made me sad to see Dakota lose the IC title match, but Lyra will make a phenomenal inaugural champ. That match was a 10 out of 10. Love the match. Wish it could have gone longer. But they made the most of the time they had. That suplex off the apron spot was nuts. I loved the match. I thought it was great. I called Lyra from the beginning, from I think when it was just a rumored title. But part of me was totally rooting for Dakota Kai. In fact, a lot of you here in the takes thread have said the same thing, that you were really rooting for Dakota and that you really wanted to see her get that Intercontinental Championship. I thought she would have been a great first champion, and maybe she'll win that championship at some point. But yeah, I think it made all the sense in the world for Lyra to get that championship. Trophy Hunter 8106 says 2 weeks on Netflix and Braun Breaker sits at ringside once again. He should be in action. Well, he shoved Sheamus, and they got a match at Saturday night's main event along with Gunther and Jey Uso. So I feel it, though. Look, I'll be honest with you. I kind of like this new thing on Raw where wrestlers will be there hanging out ringside. Like we saw with Bayley also. Just sort of hanging out there, and then they get called out, and they either jump barricade or they don't. I kind of like that. It's like, hey, I want to get involved. It's like one big, giant story that's being told, and wrestlers want to know what the lay of the land is. Wrestle Kingdom says Sami Zayn needs to be in the world title picture and actually win it. It's long overdue. I'd like to see that. I think that they could tell a really, really cool story with that. Sometimes Sami Zayn as a character can be like a self-righteous prick while still being a good guy. So I don't want to see that Sami Zayn, but I think if they told a story where it's like world championship or bust for him, I think that could be really, really cool. I don't know if they're going to tell that story, although tonight, obviously, they teased it. He could be the guy that dethrones Gunther down the... No, that's not going to happen. I don't know who it would be, but I could see him dethroning somebody down the line. The Champo725 says it was kind of weird that Wyatt 6 didn't do nothing to Miz after the Sami match. They had time. The show ended like 30 minutes early. They got sent to SmackDown, which I hope means that they've got plans for them there. They really need to do something with the Wyatt 6. I don't know why there hasn't been more done with them, but they need to do something with them. They need to use them. We need to see them on TV, and they need to explore a lot of that lore that was going on during all the QR code stuff. Because it's been one huge fumble on WWE's part with the Wyatt 6. And then them just being sent to SmackDown is kind of weird. it kind of takes away from the mystique. Oh, hey, the paperwork came through the transfer window thing. You're going to be sentenced. They should be able to go wherever they want. It's the Wyatt 6. CXNNXR says, this show tonight was so much better than the Netflix debut, and it's not even close. Ibu from Wrestle Purist said it best. The best endorsement and advertisement for pro wrestling is well done pro wrestling. No corporate shilling, no celebs, no washed up legends, just good characters, interesting stories, and good matches. Nobody's going to become a permanent weekly viewer because of Undertaker or Hogan. Yeah, a lot of people had a stick up their ass over that Netflix debut. I thought it was fine. It's like whatever. They had, four blow-off matches in a span of, I get it, 3 hours. They had a really long-winded John Cena promo and a lot of Netflix ass-kissing. I get it. But it was no different than any of actually, it's quite a bit better than any of the old, what do they used to call those things? The Raw, like the Raw 1000s and the Raw Legends episodes where they would just have a bunch of awkward backstage segments back when Vince was booking things. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, Netflix gave them $5 billion. They're going to jack off Netflix a little bit. And next week, things will get back to normal. And this was that week. This is that week when it got back to normal. But a lot of people are like, oh, my God, so many celebrities. And this isn't a real episode. It's like, okay, I get it. Well, it's another Monday. That Monday came, it went. It was what it was. I'm not booking the show. So probably isn't the way I would have gone. But I understand, why they did it. It's just $5 billion. That's why. So, yeah. There you go. War Eagle says, we have to give up on the idea of a Finn Balor run. It would have happened by now. He is there to get over guys. That's all he'll ever be. And the Dustin Martin here says, people need to calm down about Finn. They're taking the Drew approach with him. All these losses will lead to wins down the road once the Judgment Day finally dies down once and for all. I'm not as optimistic as you are, Dustin. I hope that happens. I really like Finn Balor. I'd love to see him with a real world championship title run. I don't really see it. I'll put it this way. I'll believe it when I see it. Maybe this match was the final straw for Finn Balor. I don't know. But, I don't know. I kind of feel like War Eagle has it right. I think he's just there to get people over. Because he's probably going to do a feud with Dom Mysterio next. And I feel like Dom's going to come out of that one on the better end of things. They need to send Damian Priest to SmackDown or something, though, because he ain't doing shit right now. Your boy Mark says CM Punk called out John Cena specifically. The specific attention to John Cena in regards to the Royal Rumble is surely a sign that Cena will win the Royal Rumble and tie Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's what I want and need as a Make-A-Wish kid who had met him in 2016. That absolutely steals my heart right there, your boy Mark. I'm just going to call you Mark. I got a great Make-A-Wish story. And whenever I see, 2016 was 9 years ago, right? So whenever I see somebody in our chat, you're not the first one. Back in 2017, Larson and I went to WrestleMania, and we went to their, what was it called? The Access store, where the WWE shop is, the physical shop they have there. I think it was Access. I don't know what it is. Anyways, we were there, and this kid comes up to me, and he's like a teenager. Me and Larson were together, and he comes up to us, and he's like, hey, I really like your guys' show. Can I get a picture with you? Yeah, of course, kid. Come here. And so he goes, and he seemed really excited to see us. And his mom comes up to us, and she says, my son is a Make-A-Wish kid. And yesterday, the WWE had him go to lunch with a bunch of the WWE superstars. And she said he wasn't as excited to do lunch with them as he was to meet you two just now. And I was like, oh my God. And so a little bit later on, he comes over to Larson. Me and Larson had separated. And he comes over to Larson and he says, hey, can I get a too sweet? Now back then Larson was doing the gimmick where he doesn't too sweet. And so Larson on the down low, he said, okay, don't tell anybody. And he too sweeted this kid. And so for years, I'd always wondered what happened to this guy. Cause you think Make-A-Wish, you think, it's possible these kids don't have, much time left. Because that's reserved for real serious cases, real serious illnesses. And so that always stuck with me. I'm like, man, this kid, whatever happened to him? And sure enough, 2 months ago, Larson and I were doing a watch along, and the kid popped up in our chat. And we had never told that story to anybody. to anybody. And he was like, hey, I met you guys at the shop when I was a Make-A-Wish kid, and I got a 2 Sweet from Larson. I was like, oh my God, you live? That's awesome. That's amazing. Like, I blew up. And we told the whole story on the watch along. So that's awesome, man. That's awesome. And I'm pulling for John Cena now, specifically for you, Mark. So hopefully my prediction that John Cena is going to win the Rumble, because that's my prediction. Hopefully that comes true. Anyways, that's going to do it for this edition of whatever this is, the Takes Show here at wrestlejuice.com. Till next time, we'll see you guys around. Hit that like, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button.